My name is Tabitha Njeri Mutugi. I'm still adjusting to that last name. And what I do currently, I'm a logistics intern in ICC Kitengela. Professionally, I am in the area of management. So yeah, admin and management.
My name is Kevin Mutugi, the Mutugi you heard. Currently, I work at ICC Kitengela, part of the production team and the worship team. Professionally, I am a cinematographer, working with a company that we run, iLink Cinematographers. We do videography, photography, and anything to do with cinematography.
There are two versions of this story. Well, I'll go with mine first. We met in church. So one time, that is 2018 actually, 2018, I was very new in Kitengela. We live in Kitengela. So I was very new there in the city, and I had, from where I was living, I had some nice music, some nice songs playing somewhere. So I actually thought it's my neighbors, but then I realized it's a church behind the apartment I lived. And so I went to look, and I actually promised myself I'll visit that church. So when I went, he was actually the person playing keyboard in that church. He was the person even singing. So that's how I got to meet him. But we didn't actually talk.
Yeah,
I just noticed. I mean, you will obviously notice a keyboardist, a kukombele, you know. But we didn't get to be friends or even talk. But after a while, I got to know his friends, not even him, by the way. I got to know a friend of ours called Oliver. Hi, Oliver, if he's watching. And Oliver now introduced me to Kevin. So yeah, and then we became friends. Yeah, that's how we met. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the first time I saw her, it's the same story but a twisted version. It's a friend of mine who is a pastor. So I used to help them with keyboard and singing. So it was that one Sunday that you're doing your best, in playing and singing, and then she walked in. I noticed her. It was not a very big church because, it's a small church. So if a new person walks in, you will know this is a new person. So she walked in, and my attention was now divided. The singing, I just noticed her, and after that, I think she walked out after the offering period.
Yeah.
So she kept coming for the services, but now she had this tendency of walking out before I get to say hi.
Yeah.
So it happened for a while, like a couple of Sundays. Then my friend Oliver lived near where
Same apartment.
Yes, same apartment,
Yeah.
same flat. So I used to visit him more frequently. Oliver introduced me to her as a friend. At that time, we didn't have, the conversation of, it was just hi, bye, hi, bye, hi, bye. Then we kept, engaging, and we became friends. And that's how I met her. Yeah.
Yep.
When I got to know Val, I was in a space whereby I really knew what I wanted in life. I was focused, very focused, and I got to know her and realized that she's a woman of, what do you call it? Like, she's very assertive.
Ooh.
She knows where she's going, she knows what she wants, and I was like, this is the kind of person I need to do life with. Yeah, so at that moment, I knew this is the one.
There's a whole lot of story around that because he's very silent. He's introverted. So it's hard to know him before you are actually very intentional about knowing him. So for me, it didn't work like the rest of the couples out here, like, oh, I saw him, I felt butterflies and everything. It didn't happen like that for me. I didn't even, not in a bad way. I mean, we've had this conversation before, so he knows. I didn't notice him, and he was he was always there. You know, now I'm hanging out with a friend of his who is the guy I had noticed. So you see how I didn't notice him, yeah? I was noticing someone else. But then he was always there. He was always in the company. Either he's the one driving or he's the one bringing food. The major things that you just have to notice he's there. So with time now, the friend of ours, Oliver, got a job far Kitale. From Nairobi to Kitale now. Well, our friendship ikakuwa paralyzed. Yeah. So this is a guy who remained behind. So that's when the noticing started happening. That's when I realized, wow, by the way, this is the only friend I have in Kitengela. So yeah, I think that's after getting to know him is when I now got attracted to him. Yeah.
Yes, God has a way of making things work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we started dating, as she said, I am an introvert. So the time we became friends, I realized we are becoming very serious friends. Like the
Yeah.
friendship now, it was 40,
Best
then
of
60,
friends.
then 80. Yeah. So before we even started dating, we were best friends. Like
Yeah.
I remember at that time I didn't have a job. It was around 2020 when COVID hit, and
Yeah.
then I'm in this field of cinematography, and the jobs are no longer as frequent as they were.
Yeah.
So I used to walk her to her workplace every morning, Monday to Friday. Walk her to her workplace, have that conversation. Yeah, how are you? How are you doing? Just getting to know where she is. And then I would go and hustler nation. And then lunchtime, namletea lunch.
Yeah.
And then evening, so it was
Sounds
a
fits me.
routine.
Yeah.
Morning, lunchtime, evening. So after a while, after now COVID, and then I think that's when you lost your job where she was working. I realized that this friendship is now becoming like it's the degrees zinapanda. And at that moment, I knew that I wanted to be with someone for the rest of my life, someone who is now her. And our first date, we loved walking, like taking walks and eating mutura na mahindi choma kwa barabara.
I don't eat mutura.
You did. So in that process of just hanging out and growing the friendship, I realized I'm having now feelings for her. And I think one day we were just taking a walk to a place we call EPZ. It's a very nice, cozy place. And I told her, I like you and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Yeah. And the answer was, let me think about it. And she took her time. Ooh. That was the longest 3 weeks of my life.
You even remember it was 3 weeks. That's funny. Okay. With the dating thing, ours didn't happen like, we planned, got my number, we planned a date and everything. No, it didn't work out like that. As he has said, we were friends. So we were around each other's space so much. So it didn't feel like we needed to plan for a date at that point. And then for me, I was from a very toxic relationship before him. So even in this duration, I was nursing some pettiness and healing, all these things that happens with a breakup. So for us, we were, I guess, for a date, I'll say we were intentional about spending time together. So we used to take the walks, as he said. We used to vitu tu kidogo, we'll go out and eat out, busy ya chipo, yeah, we'll go take chipo, soda baridi, chill and talk. Yeah, so for us it was the smallest of the details because we were always, almost always together. Yeah.
As I said, I knew what I wanted. I didn't want a girlfriend. I had relationships before. They did go as I had planned. So when I was approaching her about and having this conversation of, in that process of dating, I knew that I'm looking for a wife, not a girlfriend, not a friend with benefit. I knew it was a wife. So me, I shoot my shot.
Yeah, that's true, by the way. I used to get shocked, like, how are you this sure? You don't even know me that much. Now, my previous relationship, I dated that guy for almost 5 years, 6 years. So meeting him and it's barely 6 months, and you're like, I want to marry you. I'm like, you're crazy. I couldn't buy into the idea of how sure and how certain he was. And so he's a very church guy, and I love that about him. So we even prayed about it, by the way. This relationship, we didn't just dive into the feelings, just dive into, the see where this is leading us kind of thing. I think for me, I was very intentional. The time he's saying, after he asked me to be his girlfriend, I was not even in a space to comprehend what that meant. As I said, I was nursing a breakup, yeah. So for me, ilikuwa too, okay, I'll think about it. I think I didn't want to say no because at this point we were best of friends, but I didn't also want to commit because I didn't know that. I didn't really know exactly how that was going to look like. For me, someone who goes to church, and not just a church goer, a God fearing man, a truly changed man by God inside out was very important for me because before me coming to Kitengela, I had a different kind of life. Yeah, a life that I was a church goer. By the way, I'm a pastor's kid, so I've always been in church. Bible has been my first language, I guess. So having someone from church was almost normal because even the toxic people I found them in church. I have nothing against church, but church is like a place where, we're all healing, yeah? Nobody is perfect. So getting someone who's from church, who's God-fearing, who's serving was very important for me because that's also an area of my life that I feel called to, yeah? Yeah, so it was actually very important. And the fact that he was a very serious man, by the way, young and serious about God was not something I had seen as normal before. So it was intriguing, by the way, like, oh, this guy doesn't do this, doesn't do that, doesn't. He's so anchored, he's so centered on what he wants. So that was very intriguing for me, as much as it was actually important for me as well.
For me, I knew, as I said again, I knew what I wanted and the kind of person I wanted to spend eternity with. And for me, a God-fearing woman is, I had been in relationships before with people from, this other side, yeah, party after party and all those things.
Yeah.
And I knew that is not something I would deal with for the rest of my life. So for me, a God-fearing woman and an assertive woman and someone who is focused, yeah, on progress and all these things, it was my number one priority.
Well, after the 3 weeks, and he keeps the records of the dates because I don't even remember it was 3 weeks. For me, it was just nobody's asking me for an answer for now because I said I'll think about it. So what happened after that is, as I had said, I went into prayer for sure. I prayed about it, and I was like, God, I don't even know whether I'm ready for this, and I don't even know whether this is the timing. But then I was feeling like there was that Holy Spirit kind of conviction that I had about him, not necessarily of him being my husband or being in a relationship with him. It was more of he has to be in my life because so many answers of the problems I had, he was the one supplying me with the answers, So he became more like my go-to person. Like, I aspired to be a good content creator. I said good because I started and stopped, so I'll get back to it. And he came in and showed me it's doable. He's a cinematographer. You see, like, so many things are adding up into, oh, I think this guy is meant to be in my life. So those are the few things I anchored my prayer on. And I'm like, God, if this is something you can actually tell me that it's a go ahead, then prove it to me. I need clarity. I need to know. And Manze, that prayer came with so many kind of answers, because the many times we would meet and talk, there was an answer for me. There was just that one thing he'll say that I'm like, oh God, okay. There's that one thing he'll do and I'm like, okay, it's affirming me, it's confirming for me. Yeah, so I think I'll say I relied on my God so much because, hey, I was not in a very nice space. Yeah, so I relied on God's direction and he was faithful enough to show me. And I'm glad this is how it ended up. Marriage is big talk. That's not small talk. So my friends were like, "Ay, are you sure? Like, why?" They felt like I'm rushing the decision. But for me, as I said, once I get my conviction, that's it. I run with it. Yeah, like I just tell God to sort everything else because I get the conviction from Him. Yeah, so everything will fall into place. By the way.
Yeah. And I think the 6 months, we were dating as we were planning for a wedding.
The wedding.
So we didn't waste time.
Nope.
Like we took it haraka haraka.
Very fast.
I think something that she forgot to mention, that period they are dating, when she said yes, she was called for another job in Thika.
Oh yeah.
So now I'm in Kitengela, she's in Thika. It's like a long distance kind of dating. So where she was working, her dad was the chairman at that moment of that circle. So they used to have these activations and photo shoots. So she used to refer me for those jobs. So I remember when she told her dad that she has found someone and we are planning, to do life together. And her dad used to call me yule kijana wa picha.
Kijana mdogo. Kijana
mdogo wa picha. Yeah. So I think the first time we met with her dad, it was like, kumbe you've been here the entire time. How did I not see this coming? Yeah. It was a very interesting period of dating.
Yeah. For me, for sure, if you know me, you know I'm a daddy's girl. So my dad, I can't remember where we were, but he was driving me, either driving me to my place where I was living then, or we were driving home, something, but we were driving. So my dad was driving, and I told him, Baba, now, I call my dad Baba. So I'm like, Baba, now, you see, ile age unaniambianga yenye nafika mtu anatoka kwao. And he was like, okay. So I told him, you know what? I think that age has come for me. And I want to bring you visitors. Kwetu, Kikuyu land tunasamanga, ndrako rehera geni. Like, you don't even go into the details there. I found a boyfriend. No, it's like, nakuletea wageni, and they know what you mean. Yeah, so that's what I told my dad. Nikamwambia, Dad, sasa hiyo age imefika, and ndakuletea wageni very soon. And he was like, oh. My dad is always open-minded, so I think he just went to digest, like, wow, that is actually happening. But of course, at that age, already my parents and the people around me were like, hey, hujapata mtu bado? Like, hey, kwani, what's happening? And then all my friends, all of a sudden, they're all getting married. So, me niko tu hapo, and they're like, hey,
the pressure.
Yeah, because my mom was like, unajua naniona nearly. And I'm like, my God, it's fine. When my time comes, I'll go. Yeah, so I think it was easy. More like they were expecting it, I guess. Yeah.
I think for my parents, especially my mom, sorry, my mom was, it's like, I have this question, but I won't ask you. I want you to, give me that information. When I shared with my mom that I found someone and I'll be bringing her home for the introduction, she was I've never seen my mom that excited. She was very excited. She's kept coming up with these songs that like it's singing towards this marriage. I don't know.
Oh.
Like she was very excited, overexcited. And for my dad is very calm. He doesn't take things like even the information nikimwambia I found someone, she's like, oh, okay, all right, and I think for me it was like an answered prayer for my parents, because when you're a guy and you're in this age, they feel like now you need to start a family.
Kujipanga.
Yes, kujipanga. when you give them that information, I think it excites them.
Yeah.
And also from my side, I think our wedding was the first ever wedding from my home, my dad's side. So when I told them we're actually planning a wedding, they were very excited. I think for them that is honoring them.
Yeah, so we now obviously are in the conversation of a wedding, and we told our parents. Our parents at this point are aware. We have told a few of our friends who are helping us with now the plans and everything, and at least I know personally I got so much support from church and my family, and I think so did you, yeah? Yeah, so we planned the dowry payment day. So Kevo and his family had already come to our place, and wakaambiwa huyu msichana anapatiwano na ng'ombe ngapi, yeah, and all these things that they needed to do on the day, or rather to bring, sindio? Yes. Yeah, so they had the entire list of the procedures and the things they needed to do. So we settled on the date. Yes, the parents settled on the date, and we took quite a while before our dowry payment after the introduction. So we did first an introduction party, and yeah, Kevo and his family came to our home, and they met with the parents and they talked, they introduced themselves, and now, the parents now get to know my parents, and they get to see and officially know Kevin. So that was the introduction party. And now, during that introduction party is when they are given the list, dowry payment, which went well. Yeah, of course, kuna tu ile mambo ya wazee. But I think with my family, my dad especially, he kept affirming me about he'll make it easy for them, like sio kuuza tunauza, it's not sokoni, it's not a market or something, it's just a friendship, it's a family getting to bond, and they are coming here to appreciate each other, So I think our family is being sober, and my dad being a pastor, his dad is also a pastor, by the way, so I think it was an awesome time. Yeah, we didn't have much of issues around the dowry payment. The only issue we had, manze, is money. Pesa. Hey, pesa ilitusumbua for sure, because we didn't have cash. We didn't have money, but we love each other and we want to get married and we want a wedding. And for me, a good wedding, But the money was not there. But God is faithful. God is faithful. I think this is a period where I realized trusting fully that God has you covered was what kept me going. It gave me a lot of peace, and I think it kept me sane, because there's a lot of pressure in planning for the wedding. So to all people out there who want to get married, manze, it's not just your wedding. Yeah, it's about two people, and it's, I think, peer a lesson for us to learn how to work together. Because I think our wedding was like the biggest project we had together, that we had to work together and make sure everything is working out together, yeah? So, yeah, we had a few back and forth here and there, but yeah, God's grace was sufficient. Yeah, we made it through.
When we were in this period of planning the wedding and the roadshow and everything, I think that's the time I joined ICC. I was
Yeah.
interning as, an intern for media and worship. And one of the things that I appreciate our senior pastors for, I was new in that church and they held my hand
Absolutely.
and walked with me.
Yeah.
I didn't even understand like what's going on. I'm new, you don't know me, you don't know my parents, you don't know my background, but they just supported us, like full support.
True.
I had not seen someone support me the way our senior pastor supported us. So at that time, they walked with us, yeah, through that journey. Roratio, they even came for our Roratio, which was wow. So okay, we've done the introduction, we've gone for the Roratio, and I think there's this myth when you marry from a Kikuyu tribe that Wakikuyu pale kwa pesa, utatoboka my friend. But for this case, it was different. I actually thank God that I got to know Tabi, because her dad is this person who is very friendly. He was very welcoming. Like
Yeah.
you could feel you're in a safe space
Yeah,
around
true.
him.
True.
He did make things hard, like ile lazima ulete ng'ombe hii, lazima ufanye hii. It was not there. So I think for me that was a relief, knowing that I'm walking this journey with a family that is actually supporting me.
Yeah.
Yeah, even from my side, my dad was very supportive. My friends, my parents' friends, they came in big numbers. Actually, I remember during Rora show, they came in big numbers, like
A whole bus.
yes, like
That was
100 and
nice.
something people. And Tabi was asking me, hey, kwani uliambia watu unakuja harusi? Because people came in big numbers, friends from high school, friends from my dad's side, like they just showed up in big numbers. And this process of planning the wedding,
Yeah.
Tabi's family is, very close, and they really took it up and helped us even with the committee and planning and sourcing for service providers. It was, for us, I can say, it wasn't easy, but God always had our back.
True.
Yeah. So He didn't like give us so much pressure. No, it was just God kept confirming that I'm with you, I'm walking with you through this journey, and you'll make it. Yeah.
So, highlights for our wedding day, I think for me was the fun. People really danced. People really, really had fun. For me, personally, I'm going to be honest, I was autopiloting, for lack of a better word. Like, nilikuwa tu, tuende hivi, like, I don't know what is going on in my head, by the way. I think I'll figure that out as we go. But it was too much. It was too much for sure. Like all attention on me. Everyone wants to see me. Everyone is here. So I'm already overwhelmed. But I cry so much. So hata nilikuwa tu nasikia wish all of you came all the way for me. Like it was just overwhelming. It was too much. It was a lot of love that our families, especially that our family showed. So I think that was my highlight. My highlight was the support and the love from my family and my friends. And yeah, seeing everyone anajituma yani to make this day a success, that was such a highlight for me. It still is up to date.
My highlight for the day, I think for everyone, is I got a wife. It is always, when the pastor says, I now declare you husband and wife, like your heart just calms down. Everything now is calm and collected. So for me, the highlight was just knowing that it's happening. Like, I'm now a husband to someone.
Oh,
Yeah, that was my biggest highlight. And also the seeing how people just came in big numbers, and the teams, making sure
yeah.
everything is right, the service providers. It was actually after the wedding, people came, could tell us that your wedding was colorful.
Yeah, it was
When,
beautiful. By
when
the way, when you're on that side, when it's you who's the bride and the groom,
you
you
don't see
don't see these
that.
things. That's why cinematographers, tafadhali, do some justice to these people, because
Yes, we need to
after
see.
watching the videos and the photos is when you realize, like, wow, this was nice. That's what we did.
Yeah.
When you're doing it more like, I don't know what happens. For some
You're
reason, you're
just
not
like
in that
autopilot.
moment. Nico, it's happening so fast. Yeah, so after rewatching is when you're like, oh my gosh, all this happened. It was a colorful wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, which honestly I could attribute all that to God's help, because there's no way we raised almost. It costed, our budget was like 500,000, 500K.
Actually, more than it was like 600.
Money we didn't have. By the way, when we were like, we want to have a wedding, we didn't have that money. No, like, he didn't even have a job.
Yep.
Okay. Myself, nilikuwa nimepoteza my job during COVID, and so I got another job, which was not like high-end payments, which means I could afford to support him. So, manze, for us, this is a testimony of faith that actually God came through for us.
Yep. I used to affirm her, like, things will work out, things will work out. And even after our wedding, when we got home, stima ilipotea.
Oh, which was a good thing. Oh my gosh, I want to tell that story.
Okay.
Now, I had a very big gown, like a ball gown, really, really big. And then we had not planned for where we'll sleep that night.
Yeah, yeah.
So tulijipata, okay, harusi imeisha. And then,
What
so
next?
our best couple just drove us to the place where tulikuwa tuhamie. And then lights zikapotea. Tukishuka tu gari. Me in my gown, very fast to the house, so that no one is, like, hey, bibi harusi anakujaje, kwa nyumba, kwa
Yeah.
apartment usiku. So, manze, we just rushed into the house, nikatoa hiyo gown. It was nice. Maybe, that's a testimony. Maybe stima ilizimika, so nobody saw me. That was nice.
Yeah. So when we got to the house, yeah, we just, after the wedding, we didn't have a plan of where we are going. So tulipata the wedding imeisha, and here we are. We don't have somewhere to
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
So we just went to the place that we were to move in, and stima ikapotea, and we spent the night. Now I think being married kept kicking in every day. Like, you wake up in the morning and you see someone next to you.
It keeps
you're like,
kicking
"What?"
in. It keeps kicking in. 1 year down the line, it keeps kicking in, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's one place, I don't know, maybe we'll get there, but so far, there's no one place I've gotten and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm so okay with it. When I introduced myself, I even said I'm still adjusting to the name. I still call myself Maina. Maina is my dad. And I still find moments, my colleagues correcting me, like, you're not Maina anymore. So it still keeps kicking in. Expectations are there. But I think for us, we went through premarital counseling.
Yeah.
And we talked about, manage your expectations, manage all these things that you have, thinking about how a marriage should be, and go into it and create your own culture. Yeah. So I think for me, expectations didn't affect me so much. I wouldn't say I didn't have expectations. I did, but then I think I learned how to manage them as I went.
Yeah, with time.
with with time I learned how to manage them. So yeah, for me, I knew for sure, I knew this guy at this point where I'm even marrying him. I knew him, and we were friends, as you said, we were best of friends. So for me, hata nilikuwa naambia the people asking me, so how is marriage? 1 month down the line, and you're like, so how's marriage taking you? I'm like, it's barely a month. I don't know. So for me, I was telling them, my answer to that question was, you know what I'm ready for and what I'm doing right now is me living with my best friends. This whole marriage wifey thing, I think I'll learn as I go. Yeah. So, and I've been learning. I've been learning.
Yeah, and she took her time to adjust, because I remember one day, I think we were coming from shopping. Was it shopping or church? And she went and boarded matatu za kwenda Thika.
I
And I'm
know.
like, where are you going?
I know.
She's like, I'm going home.
I'm going home. I'm late.
You no longer live there, now you live with me.
Wow.
So I think even adjust, for me, I took time to adjust to this space whereby you now have someone you're living with.
Who talks so much?
Yes. Oh,
and you're
wow.
introverted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to keep up with the conversation, you know. For me, I took time. I took time to adjust to that. I took time to adjust to the fact that now when you're doing things, you don't just consider yourself.
True.
You have another person who is your partner, your friend. That's everything you do. Shopping, two. You know, food, two. Coffee in the morning, two people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really takes time for you to. It takes time for you to adjust to that space, whereby you're coming to. It's like coming to terms with the fact that now you're married.
It's such a permanent decision, by the way. It's not one thing yenye ni kama tunaishi na yeye 2 weeks and then I can go have my space, no. So for sure, adjusting into gelling together as a unit and forming our own culture, forming our own way of doing things. Like pia we've been brought up differently. Kina Kevo do things differently. Kwetu, we do things very differently. You know, I've been used to, we take breakfast together, you know, so many things we do together. We're close. My family, I have one brother, and my mom and my dad, we're just 4 of us. Like, we're very close. So he's different. Yeah, kwa like, okay, time ya kunywa chai, si lazima we do it together, or, you know, like, the dynamics of how we've been brought up, gelling them into being okay and understanding and being okay with, if he doesn't do what I'm used to doing, it's not wrong. It's just different.
Yeah.
That's quite something. Yeah, for sure. We rubbed our shoulders kidogo around it, but not that we've even gotten there yet. But at least that's also something we're adjusting to. Yeah.
You know, when you're getting to marriage, there's these expectations and how you want it to be and the kind of wife you want. And then you get to that class and they give you another perspective of the same thing. And you get to learn and unlearn things that you thought you knew. So for us, it's been like a reminder that this is a new space. You've not been married before. So don't, expect yourself to know everything about marriage. So for us, Prima has been, that run to class that there are things that you learn in Prima. For me, the highlight was living and grieving. Is it living or grieving? Living. Yeah. Just getting to know that this friendship and this relationship comes first, Parents are there, friends are there, but the two of you, at the end of the day, it's just about the two of you.
True.
So for the Prima class really keeps on, reminding us of these things.
Yeah, and the benefit of ICC Prima is that we have a book, and the book is a carry home, so you can always go back into, wow, okay, this is happening and we were taught about it, so how do we even navigate this? Conflict resolutions was my highlight. Well, I don't believe I'm a very good person around it, because I feel it's a problem of single people who have been single for quite some time, and then they've their career and their life in a project to a leadership direction. As I said, my profession is in managerial space, and so most of the things that we do is make things happen, indicate what you want done, so I had to adjust that in marriage, because now again the man is the leader of the home. Now we're talking about submissiveness and all these other things of, you have to inquire, you don't have to just go do. Well, for me, it brought about a lot of conflict between me and my husband, but I think Prima helped me navigate the opinionated self, that yeah, you can be opinionated and all, but remember, in the context of marriage, you have to agree. It's not even like bibi anambarusa and everything. No, it's we have to agree.
Also, I think for me as a man, there is this thing, yeah, the man is the leader. And I think so many people confuse leadership with dictatorship. I think when you get into marriage, it's not the leadership, yeah, nikikohoa unaitika. It is not like that. It's, getting to know we have different perspective. We've been brought up in, different environments. Yeah. So just getting to merge the two differences to something that is working for the both of you.
I actually learned that here is where I think marriage is also God's way to teach us how to live with each other, because him being different shouldn't cause us conflict, and when it does, how then do you navigate it? Like, there are nice written down points in that Prima book that we keep following to date, and so being different is okay. You have to be different, you can't be the same. So when those differences now again bring the conflict, how do you handle that?
I think being in a marriage setup, sometimes you can forget that actually this process of dating and having fun is very important, because now work and all these things that comes with being married, they may divert your focus, and you start, you don't have those moments of having fun, taking walks. For us, it's, we can say we are doing 100%, but we keep trying. Every time we get a chance to hang out, every time we get a chance to go for a date, go for Bezia Chipo, we do that when we can. Yeah. But I think it's now becoming more intentional on this dating, even in marriage, having fun and making marriage fun. Because at the end of the day, if it's not fun, you will get bored.
And then the fact that you guys are always together. For example, him and I work in the same institution, so we're always together. Like, not really like together. We're always like around around each other. So being around each other can sometimes make you feel like, oh, you don't even need to plan for a date or something. So for us, I think what kept us together before getting married was still being together. So it's amazing how we've still kept that going. Like, either we are walking home, we are not going to take a bus home, we're going to take a walk. We have been intentional about togetherness, Netflix and chill in the house when it's our day off and you don't want to go. Yeah, we just sit and watch a movie, tuko tu sawa, So as the intentionality of making sure we're finding time for each other was, is and we what?
Work in progress.
Yeah, we're working in progress, to make it happen. We are the Mutugis, and this is our love story.